What's going on, everyone? So this is my newest project. It's a little different than the stuff I normally do on the channel. It's not, hot rods. It's not tractors. This is RC cars. So it's something a little bit different, but something that I've found myself kind of in a new hobby, hyper fixating on a little bit. I was searching eBay for vintage nitro cars because I used to have a T-maxx and I thought it was cool. And I came across this MGT, saw it for the first time, and decided I had to have one. So back when I had a nitro car, they were super fun, super cool, and I loved it, but it's pretty loud, and I've got little kids now, so I decided I saw a good deal on a slider, and if you're not familiar with what that is, I know I wasn't until I saw it. Basically, it's just a nitro RC without the engine. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on buying it, and went ahead and stripped down all the extra parts off of it that I'm not going to need. I've got them in a box. Don't worry. I'm keeping everything. And I decided to do a brushless conversion on this. So I'm going to be doing some fun stuff here. I've got an adapter plate, ESC motor combo, some drive shafts, center diff, transmitter, batteries, programmer, some connectors for the ESC. And I'm going to put all this on the MGT. So if you want to take a look, kind of follow along, that'll be the first part of this video, and then I'm going to show you later all the spare parts that I've got. So that kind of comes into here. These are all spare parts. This body came with this car as an extra, which I thought was pretty cool. It's going to need some work. It's a little beat up. I'm going to go through and try and reinforce that a little bit. And then I've been just buying spare parts as I can find them, find good deals on them. They're everywhere, but you got to find a good deal. So I'm scooping them up as I can find them because I plan to run this thing pretty hard and I might break it. So I need some spare parts. Some of the stuff on this that I've put together so far, I've 3D printed, made it happen to this point, and I'll take you through that whole process as well. I had to get a little creative because I don't have everything, but it's looking good for sitting up there on top of the toolbox. I've also got some spare wheels. I've started getting some aluminum upgrades in delivery for these. I've been ordering them as I can find good deals. It's all going to go on here. I've got some RPM arms for it. I've got a bumper brace. I've got an aluminum front bumper that's coming, and some other odds and ends, some shock towers, diff cases, that kind of stuff. I also, when I was searching, found the only set that was available at the time, might be one of the last sets, I don't know, of new old stock MGT tires of the old tread pattern. Because if you look here, these are a little cracked, and I'm worried about them exploding when I put on 6S power to these. So these tires are going to move over to here. These tires are good. Those wheels are good. 2 of those are going on, and I'll have 2 spares. So I've got plenty of tires to go around for this, not to mention the brand new Proline tires if I really want to get crazy and beat on it real hard, or go in the mud when I don't want to have to clean these up, because I like the way this looks. I'm going to beat it, but I want it to look nice. Also found this cool body on eBay. Somebody cut out the windshield, window, and the grill, and they put this wire mesh in. I think it looks pretty cool. It'd be a good basher body to have. So again, follow along if you want to check this out. I think it's pretty cool. It's super entertaining, for me at least. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to take you through the process of doing the entire brushless conversion. I'll take you through the process of how I built up this chassis. And then as the rest of the aluminum parts come in, I'll show you all of that going on as well, because this isn't going to be something I do in one day. I'm just doing it a little bit each night after my kids go to bed. So again, follow along. Hope you guys enjoy. I know I'm going to have fun. Let's do it. All right, so let's jump into it. So the first step of doing this brushless conversion is going to be installing these plates. We've got the one that the engine bolts to, or the motor bolts to, and then the one that's the other carrier bearing for the diff. I went ahead and pre-assembled the center diff. This is out of an RC8. I've got 200K fluid in it, so it's pretty firm. I think that's going to be good. And then we've got our quick run 4274 motor, 2000 kV. I've heard this is good for torque, not necessarily top speed. I'm sure it's still pretty quick though. And torque's really what I want. I want it to get up to top speed really quickly. I want it to be able to chug through grass if I don't feel like mowing that week and just have fun. So I've got that. I've also got the matching, this is a combo quick run ESC, so it's the 8BL 150. This thing looks like a pretty sweet little unit. It came with some double-sided adhesive for the bottom or a bracket. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. And it's got a remote on-off button, and then this goes to the receiver. So I spent a little bit of time kind of getting everything ready ahead of assembly here. The M4 screws that I'm going to use to go into the motor, I didn't have any socket cap screws. I only had these button heads. They were a little long, so I trimmed them to the right length, shaved a little bit around the edge. I think that'll be okay. I might order some socket cap screws to replace these later, but I'm going to go ahead and put these in. I've also got some pinion gears. So I bought a 4-pack. I've got the 14, 2, 13, 12, and 11, and some set screws. I'm going to start with the 12 based on some internet research. I think that's going to be the magic number, but if I need to go up or down, I can. So next step, let's just yank this body off of here. Get right to it. There we go. Set that over here out of the way. And now we can see a little bit better. So the center diff, it's going to go, well, other way. It's going to go in here. Bearings right there. And right there. Then we'll just line it up here however we want it. Forward and back. I'm going to go get our dog bones so that we can get an idea of exactly where this needs to be. All right, so according to the guy that makes this, he's in Greece. I'll show the eBay listing here and give you an idea of his store name and everything in case you guys want to do this. He recommended a 105 millimeter dog bone and a 114. The brands that he recommended I couldn't find, but I did find 114 and 105. So we're going to give it a shot, see if I got the right stuff, and hopefully I don't have to pause this video and run to the store to shop for a different one, but we'll find out here in just a second. There's the, which one was that one? The 114, and then here's the 105. So let's see, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, which one of these goes to the front or the rear. I would like for more of the weight to be as centered as possible, so keep the nose down as much as possible. So I'm going to put the shorter shaft in the front, get that lined up there, and then see where we go from there. All right, got it lined up in the bottom. Scoot this forward. And from what I can tell, looks like we're going to be in this front hole for the front, and then we'll see what the back has for us. Let's lift this up a little bit, get a little leverage. I'm hoping I don't have to unbolt these diffs or loosen them to get this in, but I might. I mean, it's real tight. Yeah, it's looking like I might have to do that. After all, it kind of stinks. Move this motor out of the way so I don't knock it off the table. Same with my screws and all that stuff. See if I can get a little more play if I started in the rear first and then put the front one in. Might just be a special order that I have to do this in here. Okay, so the rear's in. Let's line it up there. Okay, that tucks in nice and tight. There we go. That was the order. So you got to do the rear first and then the front, or I guess the longer one first and then the shorter one, depending on how you want this oriented. So that's going to be about where I'm at. And then we'll take the motor, get it bolted up here, and I'll spin this around so you can have a better angle. And then we'll put the gear on, get it set, Loctite the set screw in. These are going to be nut and bolted through. I don't have any lock nuts, like nylon lock nuts for the 3mm screws. So for now, I'm just going to put some blue Loctite on it. I do plan to order some nylon lock nuts for these because I really don't want those vibrating loose. All right, so let me pull you in a little bit closer. We'll get this bolted in, get the motor on, and move forward. All right, so I'm trying to get it to where you can see everything really well. The center diff bearing looks like it just needs to be reset in there. So the dog bones, if you look here, you know, we've got some really good engagement. I probably could have went with one a little bit longer if I was willing to take the diffs out to put it in, but I think it'll be okay. And then here, the dog bone's nice and seated. I mean, that's solid. So now that we've got the diff in between these two brackets, we can pick our holes to put them in. So for the front one, we're gonna go ahead and start a screw through here or a bolt through here, get that seated, and then that'll let us locate this back one, make sure everything's still seated with the bearings. Do the same over here on the other side, and then get those tightened down. Like I said, I'm just gonna put a little tiny bit of, well, it's kind of a lot of it. I'm gonna put some blue Loctite on there, just to make sure this doesn't come loose. Get that set down in there and do the same for the other three. And then we will move on to putting that motor in. All right, there we have it. Center diff brackets installed. Now, time for the motor. So it looks like the wires are either going to go off to one side or the other. So now I have to decide where I want my ESC to go, because they're all going to plug into that. So I can put it over here, have the wires kicked off to that side and come around and bink, 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 plug in. Or I can put it over here on this side, have it kicked over to this way, and then ding, ding, ding in. I think this will look cooler, plugging it in that way. I don't know. I'll probably turn it around that way so I can plug the battery in. So I can go boom, boom, boom here, and then I can put my battery box up here, put a little weight towards the front, and I think that'll be good. That'll keep all the wires safe and out of the way. And then over here I can put the receiver, and that'll let the steering servo that goes here plug into it. So I like this setup. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the ESC over here, get this put in, clocked to that side, go from there. So they're still loose enough to where I can move it up and down, get that mesh, the gear mesh set up correctly. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with this M12. Spin this motor over so that I can get to the flat spot on the shaft. Maybe I can comfortably install that set screw. It's nice that there's a little notch here to do that. Get it all put in. Alright, so let's get this guy seated. I think that's pretty good. I mean, there's... Oh, let me pull that back out. I think that'll be good right there. go ahead and get the set screw on, and then I'll adjust how low or high the motor's going to go. I want the faces of the gears to be flush there. Got it good and tight. So that's good there. This motor's pretty heavy, so like I don't want to push down too hard, but also I don't want to loosen it too much. So I think that gear mesh looks pretty solid. I'm gonna go by feel here. I mean, I know there's like the paper test and all that stuff, but you know what? It looks good to me. After doing plenty of car differentials and stuff like that, I don't think there's much to worry about here. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. Okay. Motor is installed. So there we go. That looks pretty cool. Got the quick run hobby wing motor. It'd be kind of nice to put some kind of support underneath the back of that. I know this bracket's plenty beefy, but just so those two screws aren't having to hold up the whole weight of this thing, I might 3D print a little thing and slide it in there, because there's these original motor mount holes that I could bolt through. That'd be kind of a fun design project. Okay, anywho, don't need to get sidetracked yet. Let's put the ESC on. All right, so I went ahead and just with 2 bolts, bolted the little bracket on, because I want to see if I can use this instead of double-sided tape. And I started looking at some of these holes on the chassis. There's a hole in the plastic here. There's the screw hole where this plastic side piece bolts on. This one's empty, and then the 2 middle holes where like the transmission will bolt to are empty. My goal is to not drill any holes in this chassis if I can help it. I might have to do 1 or 2. I'm really trying not to. So I took this screw out just to see, because when I laid the ESC on here, it was hitting. And this is just a Phillips head screw, M3, or 3M, 3 millimeter. And I wanted to look at hole placement, so let me see if I can get this to go just a little bit closer. Bear with me while I adjust this bracket. See if you can see a little better. I want to put you overhead so that you can see exactly what I'm seeing. All right, so here's 4 holes. Here's another hole. Those are the ones I want to try and work with. So I've got a couple of options. This hole lines up beautifully, but then when I turn it, it's kind of hard for you to see on camera. Let's see if I can get you to the side. There you go. So see, that one lines up great. I'm not going to move it. And then this one lines up okay. So I had to slide it a little bit. Let's go back. It's so close. I mean, man, it's so close. So I think for the sake of easeability, or usability, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to use this back hole right here. I'm going to sit it either at an angle like so, or well, I guess I got 2 options. I can sit it straight up against the motor mount, drill a new hole right there, or I can angle it just a little bit and use both holes. I'm going to angle it because I don't really want to drill a new hole. All I have to do is probably make this one just a tiny bit bigger. And I've already got the drill bit that I've been using for the 3 millimeter screws, so I'll just kind of put it in there and wiggle it around. Try and keep this thing, you know, I know I'm doing this very controversial change here, but I want to still keep the originality of this chassis and be able to put it back to nitro if I ever want to. Like, if I realize this is just a terrible idea, then, you know, go ahead and get that done. So like I said, this drill bit comes through. I'm just going to kind of waller it around a little, and it'll work that plastic quickly. Could I have just gotten a different drill bit? Yes, but I had that one on the bench, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other 2 screws in the bottom of this and get her bolted on. All right, so I went ahead and got these plugged in, and I have to do one more thing. So right here, I need to put a little bit of a countersunk screw in, just so that it sits a little bit better. I have some deburring tools that I got. I haven't had a chance to use yet. So I've got these little deburring tools. I'm gonna take my smallest one and just kind of give myself a little countersink in there. You can see I'm just doing this by hand because it's aluminum and it's soft. I don't need much. I just need a little bit for that screw to sit down into. Okay, let's see if that works. So I'm getting rid of the Phillips screw in this spot. And I'm putting in countersunk Allen head just to get that bracket to sit a little bit flatter. It's not going to be, you know, perfect, but it is protruding a lot less than the Phillips was, so that's good. Okay, got that pushed into the hole. Let's get another one for the plastic side. Oops. Really excited these two holes lined up so well. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, check that out. All right, so the ESC, it's got a little bracket in there now. Should be good and secure, not moving around. I know that's a real scientific test I just did, but still, I think it's great. So I'm going to put some nuts on the back side here, and I'll also replace these with the nylon lock nuts when they come in. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and slap these on and move forward. Okay, over tighten it. I think we're good to go. That's good to go. ESC's mounted, motor's mounted. I mean, that still wiggles a little bit, but I think that's okay for what we're doing. It's mounted just like the bracket, I think, intended to. I'll wait until I get the battery box mounted to figure out where this little button's gonna go. I can either put it back here, so I can just reach right in here and go boop and turn it on, or I can put it up front. We'll see. But the receiver's got to be figured out. The connectors for the battery plug and the battery box. So I'll go grab that and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we got the ESC mounted, motors mounted brackets. Next is battery, steering servo, receiver. That's it, and we're ready to rip. So we'll show you a couple things I made here. Well, one thing I made. Battery tray. It doesn't have any holes to mount it because I didn't know where it was going to go. It's nothing fancy. It's just a little box that I can fit this battery in. This is what I decided to buy to get these started. They were reasonably priced. I think it was like 75 or 80 bucks for two of them. So it's a 2200 milliamp hour 6S battery. Had good reviews. I've never used these before, but that doesn't mean they're bad. I just haven't used them. So I got a 2-pack of these. They're going to fit nicely into this tray because it's made for them. Just slides right in. The wires can come through, lock down, and pin through with a body clip. So I'm thinking put that over here. Originally I was going to put it up front right there. It would definitely help put some weight up there, but if I did that, I have to move it pretty far over for the steering servo to work. I would have to design a mount for the steering servo, design a mount for a radio receiver box. So I'm just going to take, for now, I'm going to take the original servo box, housing, whatever you want to call it, and just put it back on. And I'm only going to use the steering servo hole and the receiver box hole. This one and this one won't be used. The little battery compartment won't be used, but it will get me going. And I don't have to design anything just to test all this out, because ultimately, if this doesn't work well, I don't really care about this. So I want this to work really, really well. I want to get the programming done right for the ESC. Make sure that I picked a good battery combo with the motor and the power and everything's good. And then I'll worry about this later. So for now, I'm going to get this bolted back in. After this is in place, I will locate the battery box. There's a couple of holes that I'm going to try and utilize here and here. It looks like they'll be okay lining up, but I'm going to have to drill a couple extra holes. There's no way around it. I'm going to have to drill some holes in this plastic to make it work. So unfortunately, a few extra holes, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. So let's do that and see what other issues we find along the way. Hopefully none. All right, so got the servo mounted. Have to put that in before you get everything in place here. Now we can flip it up on its side and get to everything. All right, I think that'll work just fine. I'll get the receiver mounted in there, get this wire routed, plug routed through there. Let's see if I can do that without having to pull this back off, or did I just make a mistake? Nope, we're good. All right, cool. Get my tweezers here. Pull that through. There we go. Okay, there's that. Go ahead and get this mounted or routed through as well. Okay, there's that and that. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Gotta mount the battery, connect these, and glue this down, and we're in good shape. Cool. Let's do that. I think right there will be good. Go ahead and just put one fastener through there just to get started, and then do a second one. There we go. Hold that in place for now. Let's just put one more right there. Okay. There's that. And we can go ahead and set the battery down in there. Make sure it's all good. Get that there. It's added a little weight to it, which is nice. That's what we want. All right, so all that's left now is get the receiver plugged in and put in the box. Fish the antenna through the little hole here. And this guy, and we're in business. That's this routed here. For the sake of testing, I'm not gonna glue that down. I'm just gonna pin the lid shut and send it. All right, all that's left, I gotta do some connections here for the battery. We're ready to rock and roll. Well, oh, and glue this down. I can do that right now. I think I am gonna just leave it right there so I can just boop right through the wheel well. I like that idea. There we go. Just gonna pull it as far as I can and stick it. Perfect. All right, cool. Let's get these connections knocked out right, I guess. Set it up here on the receiver box, just for the sake of testing. Hopefully it doesn't explode. That would suck. Whoa! Sparking. Hope that's okay. Never seen that happen before. Something's happening. Okay. All right, so I fiddled around with everything. I got it all working, so I want to show you real quick, and then we'll throw the body on, take it outside, and do some fun runs. I'm going to switch the tires out before I get too crazy with it, but in here, there's not enough grip for them to destroy those tires. They're really bad cracked, so I want to get that fixed. And then also the steering, it looks like I need to adjust the steering a little bit. You know, I know the trim can be adjusted, but if you look at the actual tires, this one's kicked out a little bit. That one over there is nice and straight, so I need to just adjust that just a little bit. If I adjust the trim a tiny bit to make one of them straight, the other one kicks out, so might just be some worn out ends. I really don't know. It's the first time ever running this car. So got the wires all situated and good to go. So. This thing's fast, I'll tell you that. I'll hold it up here so you can see the I think it's looking pretty good. I like it. Let's get the body on it and go outside and test it out a little bit. All right, well, here's the difference between the factory wheels and tires, which personally are my favorite, and the Pro lines. Pro lines are a little bigger. Not a ton bigger, but I mean, there's definitely some depth to it. See, they're a little bit wider. I don't love them, but I like these better than putting T-maxx wheels and tires on them. So for this test drive, I'm going to run these, and then those brand new ones that I showed you earlier, we'll get them mounted up and installed, and they'll stay on this. These wheels and tires will be ones that I put on for special occasions, or maybe I will have one or two more of these coming in the mail. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so this thing, it's not even turned up to 100%. It'll just wheelie like nobody's business. if I can show you the wheelie reverse. Oh. All right, guys, well, you got to see it do a little ripping. I did a whole bunch more off camera, but I don't have like a good tripod setup for it, so just set it on a log to show you what happened. So I didn't want to beat on it too hard. Really don't want to tear this body up if I can help it. I'm going to have a different body that I'll put on to beat it too hard. Actually, it did end up putting a crack in this one, so decided to go ahead and call it. But overall, I mean, this thing is fast. It's got a ton of grip with these tires. Maybe a little bit too much grip. I don't know. We'll have to play around with it and see. But overall, it's pretty dang cool if you ask me. This is the little crack that I put in it in my little session. But, you know, it's different looking down there and seeing a brushless motor versus a nitro engine. Totally different. It does not like slight throttle inputs, probably because I picked a sensorless system instead of censored, based on what I've read online. You know, I'm no expert, but that's what we've got. I do want to see, though, briefly, also broke this body mount right here, or post, I guess. But I do want to see what the red one looks like, the red body on here. So I don't have any clips or anything for it, but we can sit it on there. I just want to see what it looks like with the mainly with the black wheels. Reach in here and turn this post. There we go. Got that on. Where are we at up here? There we go. Let's see what it looks like. Pretty cool with the black body, the black and red. I mean, that's pretty slick. All right, I might like these wheels and tires a whole lot with that body. With the other body, I like the chrome, but that looks pretty dang cool. This might be my basher body. I didn't pay much for it. I think I paid like 50 bucks. This is pretty sweet. Pretty cool. Don't mind the screws. I knocked off my bin when I was messing with this earlier. Yeah, I like that. All right, so let's just run through it one more time. We've got the Hobbywing ESC, Hobbywing motor, custom printed battery box here. The motor, it's a little warm, but it's not hot. I probably will buy a fan for this. We've got the receiver in here, battery cables, the stock servo. I'd like to upgrade this for these real grippy wide tires. It does not like turning those when it's sitting still. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty much stock. Like I said, I broke this. I did find something pretty cool I want to show you. Come over here to my messy workbench. These came in. So, you know, GPM doesn't make parts for this anymore, but I found a place on the internet that still has a bunch of these in stock. So, don't mind me, just dropped one, but it's all right. So what I'm going to do is buy some of their other parts. I've got an aluminum diff housing for the front and rear coming. That's going to go in there. It's going to be blue just like this. I've got upgraded knuckles that are here. I ordered these, but I think they're a little too small. We'll see in here. We'll see if they'll work. This is the part that actually broke when I was out beating on it. So if these are too small, I'll see if I can find some 8mm ones instead of 6. We've got that, but also over here, this is pretty cool. So this is a body that I found on Amazon. I've drilled it out already to accept a different setup here, and I've 3D printed the body mounts, the posts for it. But this was intended to be my dedicated basher body for this. Gonna paint it purple and green with like some metal flake, kind of like a bass boat. Lower the body down a little bit so that the sides either tuck in here or come down, and then see how it does. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to paint it here in the coming days to get it installed and do some decals and stuff like that on it. But overall, guys, this has been a super fun project. I really appreciate you guys hanging out and going through it with me. Going to go ahead and put on those shock towers that I showed you and put that in a future video. But for today, we're all done with this guy. Stick around. I'll show you assembly of my spare parts and kind of how the shelf display of that's going to work out. And we'll just see where it's going to show all the goodies that I got in my eBay purchase for spare parts for the MGT. So I bought little bits and pieces all over the place. These are all spares, and I'm going to use this to loosely assemble like a, not a shelf queen, but like a, I don't know, a display that'll include some of the spare parts I have to use that second body that I showed you earlier. So I don't ever plan to run that second body. It's too beat up, but I think it's cool. And yeah, so this is one of the parts I got. Main chassis. Just set that right over here. Let's see, we got a whole bunch of other parts with it. So I've got both shock towers. We have 4 lower control arms. We have both front and rear skid plates for the differential. We have a radio box with where all the servos and everything go. I'm actually gonna maybe cut this one up for the brushless conversion, so I might just hack it like right here, because this is the part where the steering servo goes on. I'm not going to use any of this stuff, so we'll see. I might use that, but I'm not using it for this purpose. I'm going to set it over to the side. I've got 4 upper control arms, a couple of body mounts, the end caps for the chassis, and 4 knuckles. None of these have the pillow balls or the little plastic retainers that go in there, or bearings or anything like that. So this is my start in an empty box. So to go with this, I've 3D printed some stuff, right? As you can see, I don't have the control arm mounts that go on the top, and I don't have any diffs. Eventually I'll probably buy some spare parts to go with that stuff, but for now, I found this 3D file online. So this is, somebody scanned a differential off of an MGT however long ago and uploaded it for purchase. It was like $2 to buy the STL for this. So I figured, why not? Why not go ahead and buy it for a couple bucks, 3D print this, and use it just for, you know, nothing hardcore. I'm not going to be bashing with this. I'll probably never actually put anything inside this, but just as a placeholder for the arms. It gives me my mounting points. It lets me attach it to the chassis. I think that'll work. So I printed this one. I already bolted it together. I've got the other 2 halves here. So these guys, the file is amazing. The scan is spot on. I mean, to match the originals. My print quality isn't there yet, mainly because I'm still kind of learning with it. But either way, I mean, it's good enough for what I'm trying to do. So I will bolt these together. And then also for the upper mounts, last night I modeled this up in Fusion 360 and printed it off while I was at work today. So this is going to go right here. Just like the stock ones. And as you can see, you know, I just kind of eyeballed this as best I could, sitting on the couch with the laptop and my digital calipers. So the holes, you know, they're not quite perfect, but that's okay. I can make the holes a little bigger. These aren't ever going to get any stress. These are just to sit on a shelf. So, but anyways, I was pretty proud of this. I think it turned out good, especially for just winging it with some digital calipers. So that'll serve the purpose for the top. It'll let me bolt in these guys. Body mounts here. I'll probably need to 3D print the risers that go like between this piece and the body mount posts. It's not a big deal. That's a really easy thing to model. And then my plan for actually like raising this up as if it had shocks, I'm just going to print some solid bars of PLA, and it'll bolt in the lower control arm right here, and then up here to the shock tower. I'll just put a through bolt. So I don't need, you know, shocks for it to sit on a shelf. I do plan to upgrade the shocks at some point for the one that I'm going to drive, so I'll take those shocks and put it on here as I do that over time. So let me get all this cleared off here, and we will start bolting some parts on. Okay, so we got all that cleared off. I bought a couple of sets of 3 millimeter screws and 4 with all the different lengths. Mainly I bought this for a different RC car, but since I have them, they work great. So they might not be the strongest screws in the world, but again, just for a shelf display, it'll be great. So we're going to go ahead and start by assembling this guy. Get it ready to bolt underneath the chassis. Okay, so both diffs, fake diffs assembled. We'll go ahead and get these set in place there. Make sure the bolt holes line up. They do. They look nice. So those are doing well. I think I need some that are super long. Let's see here. So this coming down, that should be fine. We'll use that size. That'll do. And I believe, you know, I've got the other truck up there on the shelf, but I don't want to get it down just to figure all this out. So shock towers bolt to the outside holes, diffs bolt to the middle. Let's go ahead and get that put in. And move on to the other side. And I know that there's a spacer, that goes right here to space it off the chassis when you're going to actually use the vehicle, but I'm not. So we're just going to slap this guy in there and it'll be good enough. Well, first one's in. Doesn't look too bad. I'll take that. I mean, it's, you know, it's like I said, it's a little rough. That's me. That's not the file. This side printed well. But when I put this into like the bamboo slicer, this one printed at a different orientation because they have like a flange that goes between the two. So let's go ahead and put this one on and then we'll move on to the next step. All right. Well, there we go. Both of the lower diffs are installed. Let's take a look at these guys. Like I said, I just modeled these up last night, so let's see how they fit. Looks like the holes on the side fit really well. I don't know if you can see that, but they line up nicely. Good enough to put some screws in. So we'll go ahead and do that. These are supposed to be at a little bit of an angle, and then the back is straight. So I think this is the right size screws for this. Let's see if, so as you can see, you know, I would never run it like this on a car that's going to be driven, not with this style screw, but it's kind of hard to see in the dark here. But if I use these I don't know, I guess they're called socket cap screws, is that right? I don't know. Yeah, we'll go with that. Socket cap screws without like the countersink on them. They sit up and protrude into the area where the pin would go through. But for this, I think we'll be a-okay. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Switch from the drill to the Weehaw because I don't want to strip out the threaded holes in the chassis. And I did order some countersunk screws for this just to have extras like on the actual RC that I'm running. So if for whatever reason these don't work with my plan, I'll just switch them out. Not a big deal. Okay, there's one. I'll drill these out with a drill bit in a little bit because these shock towers have to bolt there. Okay, good. We got same result on this side, so that's nice. It's all symmetrical. I like that. All right. Let's see. I think this might work. No, we'll go a little longer. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, well, let's try and get these in. Oh yeah, yeah, great fit. Heck yeah, sweet. All right, let's put this other guy in. We will call that good enough. I just installed that with a drill bit instead of the... Wow. Not smart. It's been a long day. Nice and slow so we don't strip anything out. Okay, so there's those. Now, let's mess with some arms. Let's see what we can get going here. So I don't have the pins. Those will be here tomorrow. But what I do have are some really long bolts just for tonight. Well, found our first problem, guys. Those bolts that I was talking about, they don't fit. Womp womp. All right, well, let's take those out for now, because I really want to get this somewhat, at least one of these corners finished tonight. And then when the bolts come in tomorrow, I can resume this video. But the one bolt that we put in up here earlier, that'll hold it. Just to make sure that this actually is modeled correctly, because you know, I did not test fit these before right now. So we're gonna try it together. Oh yeah. You know what? Let's see something. These holes that I put in here, they're actually going to thread in, so I don't even need longer bolts. I can just thread this guy in there, and it's threading into this part. Heck yeah, that's awesome. I don't want it to be tight, so I'll leave that loose, and I'll put another one in from that side. We're going to be in good shape. For the uppers, we'll see about the lowers. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, great. Nice, perfect. That will do. That will absolutely do. Because I'm not going to compress the suspension. It's going to basically be sitting at a little downward angle. So nice. We'll take it. Small victories. All right, so there's that. These don't screw in quite as well, like with the threads, but it still does engage a little bit, so good enough. Do this side the same. Perfect. Hey, check that out. They function. Awesome. Sweet. So even if I put like the shock in here later and my baby girl or little boy want to push it around the garage floor, should be fine. All right, so the next step is this. So I don't have spare pillow balls. I don't have spare CV shafts. And I don't have spare bearings or linkage. But I need to find a way to secure this here so that the extra set of wheels that I have that are kind of cracked and I can't really use them can be used to display this, because again, that's all this is going to be for, is display. So I'm going to see if I can get some bolts out of my bin that thread in here and the bottom, and I will just use a washer and a nut or something to loosely attach this. It doesn't have to be super solid. As I get spare pillow balls and stuff bought off eBay and brought in, or who knows, maybe a whole nother spare parts car, I might add them in here and just have all this assembled. That way, should I need something, I can just pull it off as a unit. But for now, I'm gonna go over here and see if I can find a bolt. All right, so I did a quick thread check right here. This is a 5mm thread pitch. So, not going to be able to put the knuckles on tonight. I'll take care of that in the morning. So, that's where we're at for these. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other 3 corners for the control arms, and then we'll get this skid plate put on. And after the bolts, the 5mm bolts come in, for me to static mount the knuckles and just, you know, not like that, like this. Just bolt them to the control arms for the sake of having it sit on a shelf. I'll do that too. All right, so there's those. Now let's look at, see, that is for the front, this is for the back. Let's get these guys attached. So for the sake of attaching these, all of these holes are not in there. So I'm just gonna bolt in right here and just leave that. I think it'll be fine for what we're doing. I think these are also 3mm screws, so let's get that kit back out. Check it, see if I'm right. It is. All right. So these are supposed to be countersunk. I might switch them out when those screws come in tomorrow, and I might not. So this here, you know, it's part of it is because this is pulled up because I didn't put the spacers in, and the other part, this bends to go in the actual car. So not too worried about that right now. Let's do the back side, put that plate on, and then we'll do the upper arms after these countersink screws comes in. This is just a really cool, nostalgic truck for me. Back from the childhood. Alright, there's those. Let's get the other skid plate put on, and we'll be ready for those other screws to come in. We can finish this up. You know, funny thing, I'm sure there's going to be some comments that say, oh my gosh, that's such a waste of parts. Sell them to me. Put them on eBay. Sell them. Well, it's either do something like this and look at them and say, man, that's pretty cool. Or leave them in a box and go get them whenever I need them. So I would rather do this. I think it's a little bit more fun. And that's that. So again, this is, you know, this part bends and attaches. I think I might drill some of these holes out and just put some little screws in real quick, because I have the drill bit that'll let the screws kind of bite down. So let me try it. I mean, what's worse I have a hole that I don't need? Let's see what happens. See if there's anything in there for it to bite to, or if it's just hollow. Ha! Check that out. How cool. How cool is that? Let's do this one too. I think these only printed with like a 15% infill, so they're not going to be super strong to clamp these in with, but it's good enough. Let's go ahead and do a couple more. That's pretty cool. I might do the same in the back. The front's a little bit more springy than the back was, so I don't think it's going to be a problem, but the back might need a little help. Check it out. That's pretty cool. I didn't think that was going to work, but it did. So as you can see, it closed that gap up pretty good. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't bet my life on this holding or anything, but it's pretty neat. We'll take that. Steering posts and everything go right here, but I'm not planning on putting steering on this, so I'm just gonna run a solid rod to fix the tires straight. See, back here, I don't think I'm going to do it because I have to push way harder to get this to clamp, and there's not enough density in these 3D prints to hold that down. So that's just going to stay open. But here's where we're stopping tonight. I'll get the countersunk head screws for up here and get this put on, and I'll probably come back and just do this off camera so that it's a little more sturdy, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I got the countersunk screws in, and just to show you a little bit of the difference here, so they fit much better. So I've changed where I'm working tonight. I brought this into my kitchen table, so I'm not going to film a whole lot while I'm doing this, switching these screws out, but just wanted to show you the difference in clearance. Okay, so I got my M5 screws in, and I wanted to kind of show you guys how that's going here. So, you know, the suspension will move for now. I'm going to make that a solid mount from up here down. But basically all I'm doing is I'm taking an M5 by 12 screw, 2 washers and a nut, and I'm threading it through the hole here. It's kind of hard to see. Threading it through the hole into the control arm, and with some washers it keeps it from falling out. So I'm just going to go ahead and knock that out right here, and then we'll 3D print some spacers for the shocks and be all set. All right, so back out here in the garage tonight. Have a little bit more time to mess with this. I did get the front wheels bolted on, and all I did to accomplish that is put a through bolt in there. As you can see, you know, there's no axle in there, and then I just did a nut on this side. I mean, they still roll because they're loosely bolted on. You know, we've got these 3D printed fake shocks that just are little bars in there. Seems to work okay. It feels nice and solid. You know, I can move it around a little bit and it seems okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that for now, and go ahead and look at the back here. So, you know, just for sitting on a shelf, this is fine. These are pretty solid. But in the event that one of my kids gets a hold of this, I don't want them snapping any of this stuff off because I want these to stay good parts. So what I did, I ordered some 3mm threaded rod and some 3mm rod ends. These were super cheap on Amazon. I think this was like $4 or $5. This was like about $4 or $5. So I'm gonna make some links to go back here. It's gonna go from back here on the knuckle to the diff, and then I'm gonna do the same thing up front just so it doesn't, you know, get crazy and they try and break something. So it's gonna go from right here on the knuckle, and this one is going to go to these bolts where the steering post or pedestals, whatever you call them, would go. So it's just going to go straight from here, can't really see where I'm pointing, from right here all the way to here, just to give it some support. They're not going to be able to turn, they're not going to be, you know, for that, but it'll give it a little bit more support for kids. So the plan is to not play with this a whole lot because it's you know, it's not there. Whenever I get a set of pillow balls to put in here, I'll feel a lot better with them rolling it around. Same thing with some axle shafts. All that'll come because I'm shopping as I find good deals, or at this point I'm strongly considering buying a few of these and maybe parting them out because there's a market for all these parts, and there's some cars out there for sale that are in really rough shape. So we'll see. I don't know. I may go down that path, but I haven't fully decided yet. So for now, going to keep moving forward with this. And then, you know, as I buy spare parts and build it up, you know, eventually I'll have eventually I will have enough parts to make this a whole nother usable RC. But for now, it's just a static display. So let's go ahead and get these rods cut to length and get them installed. So we've got the links made here. Go ahead and tighten down the nut for this one. I'll spin the nut down to the other side there. But basically, it's going to go from here. I'm going to drill a hole, extend this to whatever length it needs to be, drill a hole in the diff here. There should be a hole right where my finger's pointing. The 3D model had it, but it didn't print very well. So I'll just drill that out, run a screw in there, and we will be good to go. That'll be nice and solid and secure, and then I'll do the same up front. I mean, it's not going to take, a big yank or anything, but I feel like it adds a lot more rigidity to that. And kind of looks cool too. So let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll do this stuff up front. As you can see, that tire's wiggling up there, so it needs the reinforcement. So let's go ahead and get that knocked out. There we go. Now we're getting some good engagement. All right, good. So there's that and that. There you go. That'll work. All right, let's do the other side. Let's do the front. I'll have to take these tires back off, but that's okay because this is a little wonky. Yeah, see, that's a little loose because of these nuts. So these nuts are what puts pressure on the knuckle for me. I'll get a wrench and tighten those down, give it a little more pressure, but for now, it'll give me what I need. I think that'll be a good angle for you guys to see a lot. So I'm doing this hole to right here. There's that. We'll get a through bolt here. Look at that. I guess pretty dang good from just eyeballing it. All right. Got you readjusted here so you can see a little better. These tiny nuts and bolts are tricky to work with sometimes. So, funny enough, when I first got this little tiny crescent wrench, I picked it up at Tractor Supply. I joked around that I would never use it, and here I am into RC cars and actually have a use for it, like a real use for it, not just me being silly. So it's kind of cool. All right, we'll just hold that, give this a little tightening down, and be good to go. Don't want to over tighten it. I don't know how much torque these things can take, but I think it's good. Do the same here. Just give these a little snugging. There's apparently a little tiny pair of like Knipex flat-faced adjustable wrenches. I would really like to get a set of those for this. That'd be nice. All right, so that feels good. It's much more solid now. I am going to go ahead and tighten down these nuts. Here's a little bit more of a close-up picture of how all that's done. Same here. Just put a through bolt. This is a 5mm. These are 4, I think, and then these little ones are 3. So I bought an assortment of all of them just so I could get that going. Yeah, it feels good. All right, let's do the other side. Just got to get this guy off. Yeah, I tightened that pretty good. I double nutted these just so I wouldn't lose them. Moving it around, and had it sitting on the kitchen table for a couple days, so my son was very interested in it. Same thing here. I mean, this is much tighter, but it's not super robust, but it's better than nothing. So I ordered a set of Traxxas knuckles because you know, I've test fitted the Traxxas arms on here, and I wanted to see if they would fit too. So if they do, I might just throw those pillow balls in here if they're the same size, and use them for the sake of keeping this going. All right, do the same thing here. I'm just gonna knock that out real quick, and then we'll get to the next steps. All right, so both sides in the front are done. I think that'll be plenty strong for a display. You know, everybody says they put their pretty stuff as a shelf queen. Well, I'm putting my junk, so pretty excited about that. Let's see, the next thing that's going to happen with this is I've got some aluminum posts coming in that I'm going to put on the nicer one. So I'll take those posts and put them here. I'll get the body mounted and probably go ahead and get that body cleaned up and repaired as best as I can. That'll probably be a whole separate video because that's going to be a pretty long ordeal. But anywho, this is the spare parts I've got so far. As more come in, I may take the time to, you know, add them on here. I might, depending on what kind of parts lots I buy, might end up having a few of these little halfway built chassis just sitting around for fun since I've got some extra bodies now. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I think I'm going to call it here for this portion of the build until the body's repaired, and then this will be done.